shadow in the government's game. Pawn as a child with no face and no name. They stole my past to leave me cold and alone. Always searching for a place that could call home. I was lost in the dark, just a tool in the hand, till she pulled me close and helped me understand. Now the fire inside is starting to rise. I can see the truth through 1,000 lies. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. In the dead of the night, I can hear the call. All the ghosts of my past scratching through the wall. My eyes change colors, the power has grown. With Crowley the hound, I am never alone. I used to be hollow, a man made of glass, but now I am reclaiming every year that has passed. Every memory is falling right back into place. I know every name and I remember every face. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hell on beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I ain't running no more, yeah, I'm ready to fight. Gonna settle that debt in the depth of the night. They tried to break me, they tried to erase, but they can't hide the blood from the scars on my face. The veil is thin and the engine is hot. I'm taking back everything that they thought I forgot. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I remember it all now. Every single face, I'm calling for you in the dead of the night.
Hello, my name's Henry. Tonight, I'm going to tell you how it kind of got started. I wasn't born like everybody else. I didn't come out of a womb. I was a test tube baby. Had a bunch of different things poured into a tube, and I don't know what all they put in there that made me the way I am. But I was put together different than a lot of people. First things I can remember, now that I'm starting to remember more and more, is being in a big room, lots of lights, people walking around in lab coats, people standing outside the tube and looking at me like I was some kind of freak of nature that they had created, kind of like the Frankenstein monster. I only knew what I was seeing as I grew up inside that tube. And after I got completely formed, they would play different music and they would bring TVs in there. Of course, I didn't know what they were at the time. But they was showing me different things, like a kid with a parent, and a kid with both parents. Just, sometimes shows, sometimes just stuff that I'm assuming they pre-recorded that would help me learn and give me kind of a bump me up so I'd know what was going on. And when I come out of that tube, since I wasn't handled by anybody, I was just in that tube suspended. They would show like Thanksgiving dinners and a family sitting at a table, Christmas and a family enjoying Christmas, open up presents around the Christmas tree and all the lights and pretty ornaments. Then they would also show movies that, like a family at a zoo, anything that I would need to know. So whenever I come out of there, I would have some sort of an idea how to be, I guess, what you'd call more humanized and not just a test tube subject. Sometimes they'd play different kinds of music. Some of the music I got to where I kind of liked. Some of it I didn't. And I guess they was taking notes on how I was reacting to it. They was constantly walk by and stare and taking notes, writing stuff down these pads. And periodically, a bunch of them would come around and tap on the glass, or they'd hold something up, see if I'd reach for it, knowing full damn well I couldn't. Well, not really sure how long I was in there. I have no real clue. There wasn't no sense of time. I didn't know what time was, being that little. So it come a day when they turned the speaker on and I could hear them. They said, it won't be long. You'll be coming out into the real world. Didn't know anything other than inside that tube and that liquid. So finally the day come and they took the lid off and started draining the tank. Got me out of there. And I'm just remembering bits and pieces, so that's all I can remember, but I can tell you what I remembered, and that's what you're going to hear. I remember when the tank was completely drained, and they had the top off, and all these people were standing on these, what looked like some kind of scaffolding, and I had floated to the bottom because the tank was being emptied. They reached in with what I'm assuming was some kind of a big towel or a blanket. Dried me off, and of course I was spitting and sputtering. They was tapping me on the back, trying to get all the fluid, whatever that fluid was, out of me. I coughed and gagged, about to choke. I do remember cradling me. They wrapped me up in that blanket. And I remember just being real tired, so I assume I either went to sleep, something. When I remember coming to, they had me in a big room and this big light was shining. It was kind of like a heat lamp, really warm. Well, even to this day, I'm cold-natured. I love the heat, but can't stand the cold. Well, if you know anything about these hospitals and labs, they keep them pretty cool because it keeps the germs from building up. So again, I'm cold-natured. They wrapped me in real thick blankets and kept me in front of this big light that was bright. And it felt pretty good. It's kind of like the sun beating on you. Well, I'd seen things like they kept showing films of how to eat with a spoon, a baby setting up. So most of the things I learned during that time was all just stuff that I'd repeatedly had seen. So whenever they did bring a spoon, I had kind of an halfway idea of what it was. I didn't know the name of it, but I knew it was something you used to eat with, or at least you were supposed to. Well, as you know about babies, their aim ain't so good, so I'd try to, with their help, scoop up some food, try to hit my mouth with it. And it ain't because I ain't got a big mouth, because I do. It was just the coordination wasn't there between the eye and the hand. And then they helped me learn how to eat with a spoon. And I was still using the bottle too, but I liked the spoon better. It seemed like I could get stomach full rather than that milk. And the milk was okay, but it just kind of like something to drink. I mean, it wasn't something that really filled you up. Anybody that got kids, they know that every couple hours you got to get up and plug a bottle into their mouth so they'll go back to sleep. Food seemed to hold you over longer, like the cereal that you'd get with the milk. So I kind of drew closer to it, and there wasn't what much to do with the bottle except for as a drink, just kind of wash the stuff down. Anyway, days went into weeks, weeks went into months. As I grew a little bit more, they would teach me other things, like how to put socks on, be able to let them know when my diaper was dirty, not to just pull it off and run around like a naked ape, but have some sort of manners, because they couldn't give me to parents, because some of these parents, they wanted the kid to be diaper trained and not be running around like some kind of wild ape. So without all this, that's what I'd have probably been, just some sort of wild animal. So they had to humanize me. So that was what they was in the process of doing. So when they passed me off, I could be somewhat like most of the other kids, with a few exceptions. Later on, I'd show traits of being able to move things, not having control on it, but being able to move things around me. And, when you ain't had practice or anything, it's just kind of like a uncontrolled method. It just happens, and sometimes it crashes into the wall, whether it be a plate, a fork, or any other object, a ball. But as time went on, and after I got placed with parents, these different abilities started showing up, and there was a promise that would have been made later on. We'll talk about that. But in the projects, in this laboratory, and I'm not sure where it was at, wasn't old enough to know what landmarks were, and they wasn't bound to tell me in case I wanted to come back later and strangle the shit out of somebody. I wanted to keep that hush-hush, so I never got to see the outside. All I ever got to see was that inside of that building with no windows. Got to where I eventually learned how to night walk, and that's not sleepwalking. This is where you go to sleep and your spirit leaves your body and you can perform tasks. And you come back to your body. Or other times I could go leave with my body when I'd go to sleep. My spirit and my body would disappear from one place and show up in another. Well, they liked that idea. I was coming along pretty good. Got to where that they could take my bottle my spoon, let me hold it. They could take it and keep me busy, hide the spoon or the bottle in the room, and I could get a mental image of where it was at, see it. I go find it. So there was other things like understanding things that you really didn't understand, but you could almost like having a conversation, but the people wasn't talking to you, they was thinking it. I could pick up on things like that, and of course being that little, it was usually maybe like one or two words, but for however much I could make sense of it, I could. Then of course, had the ability to things that I was really interested in, things that fascinated me, especially farm equipment, livestock. Don't know why. Later on, when I got placed with parents, I could go down the road and I could name any tractor out there. Name the brand and most times the year and the size of the tractor. 2-ton trucks, ton trucks, trailer trucks. But most kids were just playing with their little balls and shit. I was able to name the different types of cows, whether it was a bull or a heifer or a calf. Red-faced heifer or white-faced heifer. You know, I could name about all that kind of stuff. I also knew the difference between soybeans and corn, wheat. Don't know why they programmed all that into me, but there it was, you know. So, they also taught me, from my age, what little bit of manners they could teach me, you know. Don't take your food and throw it. When you're done, just kind of push your tray away. Don't throw it. Don't put it in your hair. So finally come the day, and for whatever reason, they was going to temporarily wipe my mind, so I assume that's what I understood when I got older. They did a little hypnosis on me. Of course, I didn't understand at the time, but when I woke up, I was wondering where the hell I was at. Wasn't long, and this one lady that had been taking care of me, I thought I remembered her, but just quite couldn't put my finger on it, and I guess I started associating her with being, I guess what you'd say, like a mother figure. Well, they carried me out in a blanket, and I remember it was a real warm day. I didn't know what sunlight was, but when they took me out of there, that sun about blinded me. The lady put her hand up, covered my eyes out of the sun. Two guys, there was a driver and a passenger, and the driver opened up the door, and she got in the back seat with me, still in her arms, wrapped up in a blanket. Two guys got in the car, driver and the passenger, and you know, I didn't know what time was. It seemed like they drove quite a long way now that I think about it. Several hours. Daylight went into night, and night went into daylight, and all of a sudden, they pulled up in front of this house, and these two people come out and greeted them. I do remember that. The woman, little short woman, held her arms out and took me in her arms. I was kind of scared because I didn't know who it was. I was used to this other lady. But couldn't quite put my finger on how I knew her, but it just seemed, it was comfort, I guess. So, passed me off to her, and she was doting over me, and then they passed me to this guy standing there. He was a little taller and dark-headed man. He was so happy, and that was the first time I heard the name Henry. They'd been expecting me. I had no clue. The lady was giving them a list of things and handing them paperwork, and the lady was signing off on them, and the lady passed me off to this family. I do remember her saying something about, if he starts showing any kind of signs, get a hold of us. If we find out that you don't get a hold of us, we'll know. And then we'll come and retrieve him. We'll place him with another family. When he does show signs, if he does, if he starts remembering things, just kind of blow it off, but let us know. Call us collect. There's a number right there in the paperwork. So, the lady took me in her arms again, and I remember her holding me close up to her cheek. She gave me a kiss on the cheek, and a few tears shedded, and she proceeded to tell these people, the family I was with, that she kind of grew fond of me, but she couldn't keep me herself because her job wouldn't allow that there was a deal, and they should keep their word. He should grow up fairly normal with a few quirks, as I like to call them. So, that was my recollection of the pass-off. Well, for quite a while, they doted on me like I was a little prince. I grew up for a few months, and they was always doting over me. I didn't have to cry for a diaper change or nothing. They was constantly pulling that diaper open and checking, and I didn't much care for that cold. My dad, he got to where he didn't like to change me because, I don't like the cold, and of course, being a man, he didn't know any different, and he'd pull that diaper off, and that cold had hit my private area, and I guess I peed on him a couple times, and he just didn't much care for that, so he left the changing time to Mom. That was fine. She would take me into a room that was really, really warm and use that diaper for a shield. I guess maybe I peed in her eye a couple times. Hell, I don't know. But they was good to me in early years. Well, along the line, things was happening, just minor things. Something would move. I didn't know I was doing it. Didn't know it was wrong either. But as time went by, things started showing up, and of course, they made the phone call. So, around 3 years old, we moved from this old house, little tiny house, into this big old farmhouse that was haunted. Didn't know it at the time. Things started happening there, and of course, with everything going on, couldn't tell if it was me or if it was the house or if it was both of us. But there were some mighty strange things happened there. Started out, we had odds and ends things moving around, and what I thought was real people ended up being spirits in the house. There were some bad entities, and there was a few good ones, but the bad ones outweighed the good ones. Then outside, you had dog men that would show up. I think first time I remember seeing one, me and my uncle come to stay with us because of the weird shit going on. My dad had to be out in the field. My mom didn't want to be in the house alone. And she had me to take care of. So my uncle come to live with us, which was my mom's youngest brother. He didn't have no buddies that lived out there, so I was most time with him. I was around 3, 4. He'd take me with him down to get the 2-ton truck or down to tinker around in the machine shed. And of course, I liked being around guys. They would like me, so I thought. I remember one time we was down there in the machine shed and never forget it. We thought we had seen something, but didn't know what it was, just caught a glimpse of it. We went on inside the machine shed and got ready to come out, and there was this big black looking dog looking thing standing on the other side of the fence. So my uncle pulled me close to his side and he said, "Come here." So he picked me up and he backed back inside the machine shed. I didn't know what he was doing. He shut that door and locked it, and then he put the big steel bar in the wedge to keep the door shut. Carried me over and put me on the workbench. He was going through the 2-ton truck. I didn't know what he was looking for. Finally, I seen him raise the back seat, move it forward. Right behind the seat there was a gun. He goes, "You stay right there and don't move." He went and peeked through the crack in the door, and he goes, "I don't see nothing." So he come over there and stood beside me there at the workbench, and he goes, "Now I'm going to put you in the truck." And he said, "Here's how you open that little knob, that how you unlock it. You pull this knob up. Don't unlock it unless I tell you to. You stay in there and don't open that door." I did as I told. He shut the door and I pushed the lock down. He went and opened up the door with that gun and was aiming it outside of something. All of a sudden, heard that door slam and I didn't see him. So I scrunched down in the seat, peeking over the side of the door. Wasn't long and I seen him pop back in, slam that door, and he was aiming the gun at the door. I thought to myself, what the hell's he doing? He come running over the truck, "Unlock the door, unlock the door." And I heard something beating on the machine shed door. So I unlocked the door. "Scoot over, scoot over." He jumped in the vehicle with me and shut the door and locked it. Gun still in his hand. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "That werewolf is out there." I said, "Werewolf? What the hell's a werewolf?" I didn't know what he was talking about. Never seen such a thing. He was busy trying to explain to me and get his breath and his senses together. He goes, "I know I'm not old enough to drive." He said, "Your dad said I could drive on the farm, and tractor and trucks, but can't go on the main road." He said, "But the only problem is I'd have to get out and open up that door." And he said, "That thing is beating out there on the side door trying to get in here." So we probably sat in the truck quite a good little while. I don't know how long. I didn't have no sense of time. Finally, the noise got quiet, and my uncle got enough guts up that he pushed in the old clutch, put his foot on the brake, and reached down and pulled the choke out on the truck, and took it out of gear and hit the key, and the thing fired right up. He reached down and pulled the old emergency brake. Back then it was a lever that was like that, and you pulled it, and then when you took the emergency brake off, you pulled it back up. He pulled the emergency brake on, made sure, I guess, the truck was out of gear, left it running. He goes, "You lock this door. When I shut it, I'm going to go fling them 2 doors open, and I'm going to run back here, and then you unlock the door and let me in." I got it. So he grabbed the gun again and bailed out, run back there and opened the machine shed door. He opened the first big bay door and propped it open with a rock, opened up the next one, propped it open with a rock, run back to the truck with a gun. He's beating her, "Let me in, let me in." So I unlocked the door and let him in. He gets in with a gun and sets it down by the seat and the floorboard there, and he pushed the clutch in and hold the brake in and put the old truck in reverse. And I was sitting there watching. Well, in those ton trucks or 2-ton trucks, either or, you can't see out the back window. I don't know why they put a window there, but they do. I guess it's for when they tilt the bed, you can look and see how far the bed's tilted. That's the only thing I can come up with. So he starts backing that old truck out of there, that old diesel, old Detroit. He gets her backed out there, and he's kind of short, but he leans forward and gets the clutch in, and he puts her in Granddaddy low, and we come up over that little hill there, and I said, "You gonna stop and shut that door? My dad's gonna be mad." He goes, "I ain't shutting no door. I ain't getting back out till we get to the house." So we headed up that old dirt road toward the house, and he pulled right up to the gate, shut that truck off, and it wasn't even totally dead yet. He slammed that emergency brake on and grabbed a hold of me, and he said, "Well, you see anything?" I was like, "I don't see nothing." I said, "What did you see?" I said, "What is a werewolf?" "I don't know what a werewolf is." I hadn't seen it on TV, so I didn't know what the hell it was. He looked around and kept looking, and he goes, "Well, I can't carry you and the gun, so we're just going to make a run." He said, "Now, if something happens, I'll drop you to the ground, and you run straight to the porch and straight in that house where your mom's at." And now he's scaring me. But I agreed. That's okay. So he's looking around, and he's kind of chattering and got a cold sweat running. He unlocks the door and opens it. And as soon as he does, he grabs me, and down them 2 steps on the side of that truck, hit the ground, and I ain't kidding you, his feet was a-moving. About bounced my guts out. But we made it through the gate, up the little walk, and right up on the porch, and I don't know how he did her. He had me on one side of him, and he was opening doors with one hand, squeezing me to death with the other one. We made it in, and he set me up on the kitchen table, and he's trying to sit down in a chair, panting like a dog, and my mom come out of the room. She's like, "What are you guys doing? What are you panting for?" He goes, "I seen one of the biggest werewolves I ever seen." My mom goes, "Are you crazy? Hey, you've been watching TV too much." And I still didn't know what the hell a werewolf was. So I'm trying to figure out, what is one of these? What is a werewolf? My uncle's sitting there trying to get his breath and still panting. My mom said, "This house is crazy enough without you talking about werewolves. We got ghosts going on and things moving around." And I'm still trying to figure out what the hell a werewolf is. Nobody will tell me. So my uncle told me, he said, "Let me catch my breath." He said, "There'll be a werewolf movie on with old Lon Chaney one of these days. And I'll sit down and I'll show you what a werewolf is." Okay. Didn't register with me. Wasn't nothing I'd ever seen in the project, test tubes. So Mom told him to go on in and get washed up and come back, and she had dinner going. So I'm sitting there on the table still, and she set me on the floor, and she goes, and you go in there with him, and you wash them fingers. So I went there where my uncle's at, and he was washing his face and hands. So when he got done, he dried his hands and face off and picked me up and said, take the soap, put it in your hands and rub your hands on it, get some soap, and then wash your face. Don't get it in your eyes, though. And then rub your hands together, and then rinse your face off with some clean water in your hands, and I'll give you this towel. And don't worry, if you miss a spot, I'll get it with a towel. I wash up. We go in to sit at the kitchen table, and my mom's putting stuff on the table. She gets done, and she makes her a glass of tea, and she sits down, and we're waiting for Dad. He's still out in the field working, so we was sitting there, and my mom, just out of clear blue, she goes, did you by chance shut those machine shed doors? My uncle said, hell no, there's a werewolf out there. She said, well, you know he's going to be mad when he comes in and them doors ain't shut, because coons and everything else get in there and eat up the seed corn. He goes, I don't know, I'll take an ass whipping. I ain't going back out there. There's a werewolf down there. And I'm still just kind of amazed, like, what the hell's a werewolf? So we sitting there talking, and I'm listening. I'm taking all this in. Well, it wasn't just a few seconds, and we thought we heard Dad come in on the mud porch there at the back room. So I get down, and I run to open the door for him. Wasn't nobody out there, but you could hear somebody. My mom told me, so don't you dare open that door. Get away from that door, because if your dad's coming in, you get hit with that door because it's open toward you. So I stepped back away from the door, still anticipating him to come through the door. I heard boots walking, and I heard boots go to the bench. And it wasn't long, and I heard what sounded like sock foot coming to the door. So I'm waiting for that door to open. Nothing. My mom comes over there, and she leans up and looks at that window that shines onto the back porch. There ain't nothing out there. So she comes back carrying me and sets me down in a little high chair, and I'm sitting there by my uncle. And he goes, well, she goes, that wasn't nothing there. But we all heard it. So that was kind of the starting of the ghost deal. From then on, it got worse. Anyway, about, I don't know, a little while later, we was almost done eating, and my dad come in, but he come in through the front door. Mom asked him, what the hell did you do? Come to the back door and forget something or what? And he goes, what the hell are you talking about? I've been out in the field. He goes, who in the hell left them machine shed doors open? My uncle started in, and my mom was trying to back him up, but she hadn't seen it. He goes, man, he said, we was going out to the machine shed, and there was a werewolf trying to get in. That's what the hell you talking about, a werewolf? You've been watching too much TV. He goes, well, you're going to have to go down there and shut it. And he goes, I ain't going back down. If you can beat my ass all you want, I ain't going down there. My dad's kind of like, well, I'll go down and have a look, but if I don't see nothing, you are taking your ass down there and shutting that door, I will beat your ass. He goes, you beat my ass all you want, but I ain't going down there. I said, well, I don't know what a werewolf is, but when we was walking down there, I seen a big dog-looking thing. I said, but he said it was standing up. What do you mean by standing up? When I seen it, it was standing up on four legs. So my dad's like, you need to be quiet. Have a talk with him. Okay. So I sat there being quiet, listening to the conversation. So my dad takes off his hat, goes in and washes his hands, sit down at the table to eat. We're still sitting there. My dad comes in, sits down, and he goes, so what the hell is this? You talking about me being at the back door? I wasn't at the back door. Y'all are just hearing things. Mom goes, no, there was somebody, all three of us heard it. He goes, well, sure in hell wasn't me. I've been back in the field. I parked the tractor in the front. He said, they're behind the 2-ton truck. So Dad just blew it off. From then on, things got more and more things happening. One day, my uncle was with my dad back in the field. My other uncle come out on my dad's side of the family, and he was a plumber by trade. So he come out, and he was going to go downstairs and fix, I guess, the hot water heater. So he carries me down the stairs, and he's got me in one hand and a bucket with pipe wrenches and shit. Go down there, and he sets me down there, and he goes, you stay down here, your mom's cooking. You stay there and help me. Here's your little pipe wrench. You can play with that. So I'm sitting there playing with a little pipe wrench. While he's over there working on the hot water heater, I see this guy standing over by the wash machine. So I walk over to talk to him, and he was like, I had to be quiet. I guess he didn't want my uncle to hear. So I walked over, and he kept asking me if I wanted to play. Yeah. I always look for somebody to play with, but there ain't nobody out here to play with. Nobody my age. He said that if I wouldn't tell that he'd play games with me. Play with trucks and stuff. So kind of sat there and played with him for a little bit, and my uncle was okay with it because he figured if I was sitting over there playing by myself, because he didn't see nobody, that I wasn't in his way, and I was still within seeing distance. Wasn't too many places I could go in that basement, he didn't think. So I was sitting over there playing with my new friend. Well, my uncle got done, and he turned the water heater on and said, well, she's running okay. And he come over and, you ready? So he picked up my little truck stuff, put them in his bucket with his tools, and took the little pipe wrench, put in there. And as he was carrying me up the stairs, the guy down there was waving. So I waved back at him. He smiled, so my uncle carried me to the top of the stairs, and he shut the basement door. My mom said, get her fixed? And he goes, yeah. He said, you turn the hot water on. He said, you'll get air for a little bit, but you'll get hot water. It'll be lukewarm, but he said, take a few minutes for it to heat up. But he said, go ahead and turn it on so we can get the air out of line. So he's standing there, and she goes, well, why don't you go on in the bathroom and wash your hands, and husband will be in just a little bit, and my brother said, we'll sit down and eat. I said, well, that sounds good to him, so I wanted to hang with the guys, so I followed him into the bathroom. He looked at me and said, Henry, what are you doing? I said, well, every time y'all wash your hands, I got to wash mine. So he said, well, let me wash my face and hands, and then I'll dry off, and I'll pick you up. So I'm sitting there watching him, washing his face and hands, and taking it all in. I was learning. So he got done, he dried his face and hands off there on the towel, and picked me up, turned the water back on, and he gave me the old bar of soap, and I was trying to imitate what he was doing. He goes, now you ain't gonna be crying. You get that soap in your eyes, are you? Nah, I won't be crying. I want to be one of those big guys. So I washed my face and hands, and got done, and he handed me a towel, and I kept my eyes closed. And dried my hands off best I could in my face. My uncle put me down on the floor and he goes, well, it's chow time. So we headed into the kitchen and sat in there, and my mom was setting stuff on the table, and she got the glasses out, put ice in them, and poured tea in the glasses, and heard the old truck coming up the driveway. As my dad and my uncle. They come back from the field. They've been hauling corn back there, seed corn, planting back in the field. So, went to the door to let them in. My dad come in, and he had dirt all over the place, dust. But he picked me up, asked me what I've been doing, if I've been staying out of trouble. Yeah. So just as he walked through the doorway, my mom let out a big holler. My uncle sitting at the table slid his chair back like something scared him, and heard a big crash. The plates in the cupboard seemed to come out and fall to the floor and break all over the place. My dad thought Mom did it. So he come in and he said, well, what the hell happened? She goes, I don't know. I'm getting stuff to sit on the table. And so when I turn around, the plates are in midair and they just fell. My dad said, well, probably just your hands were wet or something. She goes, no, I didn't have them in my hands. The door come open, the plates come out, fell to the floor. My dad said, well, just grab the broom and sweep it over to the side and we'll eat and you can clean it up afterwards. So he carries me into the bathroom and sets me down. He starts washing his face and hands, and then my mom's brother come in and washed his face and hands, and Dad picked me back up, carried me into the kitchen. And my uncle sitting at the table with my mom, sitting there still trying to figure out what just happened. So I told Dad I wanted to sit by him. So he moved my high chair over to him and set me down on the side of it and then locked the tray on top. They set my plate down there in front of me, my little sippy cup, and I'm sitting there trying to act like the big guys. Everything went smooth while we was eating. Dad turned on the radio and listened to the farm and weather and soybean price and corn prices, wheat prices, and hog and cattle. I don't know what he was listening to it for, but he always seemed to listen to it. So, wasn't long, and my uncle got up from the table and he said, well, I gotta head back in town. He said, I gotta take the old lady to the doctor. He said, if you have any problem with the hot water heater, just call me. So, my mom and dad thanked him, and Mom paid him. He grabbed his tools and his bucket and headed out to his old truck. I seen him turn the truck around and head out the driveway to the main road. So my dad started putting his boots and stuff back on, and he told my uncle, my mom's brother, sitting there, and he goes, I might be working a little bit late. He said, I may not be in for supper. Mom said, that's all right. We'll fix something and just bring that to the field to you, if you don't come in. He goes, that'd be fine. He said, that way I can get that in before a storm comes. He said, they're predicting rain tonight, and I'd like to get that field done. So he put his hat back on his head and gave me a kiss and a hug goodbye, and out the door he went. me, my mom, and my uncle still in the house. He was gone for a good little bit, and we decided that we were going to go in and catch a cat nap on the couch, watch TV. Mom, she was cleaning up dishes and cleaning up the mess on the floor, complaining that now she only had 4 dishes instead of 10. But she cleaned up, put it in trash, and cleaned up the counter and the table. All of a sudden, we heard the refrigerator open and thought, well, maybe she's putting stuff in the fridge. All of a sudden, heard a big crash. We got up, headed toward the kitchen, and there she was, standing there with her hands on her head. Looked down on the floor, and there were 24 eggs on the floor, and the carton was wide open. My uncle said, "What happened?" She said, "I don't know. I was drying the table off, putting the placemats down, and the refrigerator come open, and these eggs just come out and hit the floor." My uncle's like, "There's some crazy shit going on." She goes, "That's why I told you I wanted you to come out here and stay. There's been some stuff, and husband don't believe me. And nothing ever happens when he's here. He just don't believe me. He thinks I'm nuts." So, my uncle helps her clean up the mess. She goes, "I don't know how I'm going to explain the eggs." My uncle said, "Well, that's no problem." He said, "I'll go out, gather eggs, and we'll just fill the cartons, and I'll take the trash out. He'll never know. Just don't say nothing." So, after we get the mess all cleaned up, we go out to the old hen house, and Mom had quite a few chickens out there. My uncle filled up both those containers and carried them in. Mom washed them up, dried them, put them in those containers, stuck them in the fridge. So, everything went kind of smooth. I mean, every so often you'd hear a noise that couldn't explain, but nothing major just yet. Well, it come the day when all shit was going to hit the fan. Somebody give my mom this clown doll to give to me. So, Mom gave it to me, and she goes, "This way, when your uncle's out with your dad, you got somebody to keep you company." I said, "But there's a man in the basement that comes up once in a while, and when nobody's wanting to play, we go play in the living room." My mom said, "This is better than an imaginary friend. It's something that's a solid object that people can see." I thought it was an imaginary friend. I had no imaginary friend. It was a ghost. Of course, I didn't know what a ghost was at that time. So, everywhere I'd go, I'd take this little clown. He was about the same size as me. But later on, things would get real creepy with that clown. So anyway, if I was sitting at that table, the little clown was sitting at that table. If I was taking a nap, the little clown was taking a nap with me. If I was in playing with my trucks and tractors, the little clown was sitting there. I didn't think it was odd at the time, but every so often, I'd talk to that clown. Got to where he would talk back to me. Being a kid, I didn't know any different. It was like having a conversation with another kid. Of course, I didn't know what that was like, because I wasn't around no other kids. So, it didn't seem unnormal. Till the day come when that little clown started doing things that started getting me in trouble. Anyway, I was sitting there one day at the table while my mom was working, and had the clown sitting there and a couple little trucks there on the table, little matchbox trucks. Anybody knows what a Matchbox truck is, or a car? They're a little car that, Hot Wheels, what they call them. I always call them Matchbox cars. They're about yay big. They look like the real thing. I had a hell of a time playing with those. Back then, you'd get them at the Western Auto. That was long before Walmart. So, I had a whole bunch of them. I even had a case that they come in that you could put them in. Each one of them had a little spot. Sometimes I'd switch it up. I was sitting there playing. But my uncle, when he was out there, he put a latch on the door because they was afraid I'd fall down them stairs and break my neck. So they put a latch up real high. But this guy that I'd started kind of become friends with, my supposed imaginary friend, but I could see him. They just couldn't. He appears there around the corner. And he's like, come here, come here. So I got up and slid the chair back, climbed out of the chair, and walked over there. And he goes, you want to go down to the basement and play? I ain't supposed to go down to the basement. Besides that, I can't reach that lock, that latch. That's my uncle put that on there because I'm not supposed to be down there by myself. I can only go down there if somebody carries me. He goes, well, I'll carry you. I said, but I still can't get that latch undone. He put that on there to keep me out of there. I ain't supposed to be down there, especially by myself. Well, I'm a grown up, I'll take you. Can you unlatch that latch? I can't. Well, he said, yeah. So he picks me up, reaches up there and hits it with his finger. And he goes, why don't we walk together? Sure. So he set me down. He opens the door. He goes in. I go in. He reaches over me and pulls the door shut. We're going down the stairs. And he's just talking up a storm. My mom was working there at the kitchen table. She turned around from the sink and I was gone. She thought I was in the living room. Till she started hearing me talking to somebody that she couldn't hear. She looked up and seen that latch was undone. Man, she flung that door open and pulled that chain for that light to come on downstairs. She come running down them stairs and I was about 3 steps away from them bottom step. Talking to my friend. Man, she come down there chewing on me as she come down them stairs, and I said, hey, my friend come down here with me. He's the one that unlocked the latch. Now, you said I couldn't come by myself. I ain't by myself. But she's looking around. She don't see nobody. She picked me up and she goes, don't you ever go down them stairs unless you tell me. I said, but I wasn't alone. She said, I'm telling you. I'm going to latch that door. I don't know how you got it open. I said, I didn't. My friend opened it. Don't you argue with me. So I sat back in the chair there at the table. She goes over there and shuts the door and makes sure it latches, and then she reaches up and hooks that hook. I'm sitting there playing. She goes, I'm telling you. I ain't telling your dad because you will get whipped. Well, I'd never been whipped. I didn't know what whipping was. She goes, but if I catch you again unlatching that latch and going downstairs, I will let him tan your hide good. I didn't even know what it meant, but it sounded pretty bad. So I'm sitting there and she's peeling potatoes. So I wanted to help. So she gets a potato peeler. That way I can't cut myself. And she goes, here's you a couple potatoes. Peel them on top of the table and then I'll rake them up into a bowl and we'll give them to the chickens. So I'm trying to learn how to use this potato peeler, and it ain't making no sense to me. But I'm trying, because she's using a little Perry knife. So I'm sitting there trying to peel these potatoes, not having very good luck. She says, I gotta go to the bathroom. You want to come in and sit in the bathroom till I'm done? Or you just leave the door open? I said, no, I'll sit here and still trying to learn how to peel these potatoes. I want to be helpful. So I'm sitting there and she goes in and use the bathroom. I'm still peeling potatoes. And I see my friend standing there in front of the door. Come on, you want to go downstairs and play? No. I don't know what tan your hide means, but I definitely don't want to go there. I said, I can't go with you. I got to stay here. And she's like, who you talking to? I said, my friend. She goes, well, just who is this friend? I said, an older guy. Old white-headed guy. She goes, well, you tell him you're busy. We got to get supper ready. So I told him, I said, we can't play. Me and my mom's got to get supper ready. I got to get these potatoes peeled. She comes out of the bathroom. And I'm sitting there and she goes, well, where's this friend of yours at? He's right over there. She goes, there ain't nobody over there. You got an imaginary friend. No, you don't see him. He's standing right there. Big, tall, white-headed guy. I don't see nobody. All of a sudden, she looks at me and she goes, show me exactly where he's at. I said, he's right there. And all of a sudden, there was a big bang on the door. I said, there. You don't see him hit the door? She was like, no, but I heard it. She grabs me up, runs out on the porch, out in the yard, down by the gate. She goes, you stay here. Don't open that gate. Stay in the yard. I'll be right back. She goes up on the porch, opens up the screen door. I don't know if she went in there to turn something off. She come running back out. And she goes, from now on, you don't talk to nobody. If I don't know who they are, you don't talk to them. She goes, did this imaginary friend tell you a name? No. So, we sat there and my dad pulls in, him and my uncle. He goes, what you guys doing sitting out here? What you guys got for supper? Mom goes, we was going to have fried potatoes and ham, but something happened. He goes, now what happened? She goes, this guy keeps trying to get him to go downstairs. My dad said, what guy? His imaginary friend, I guess. She said, that's what I thought, but said, he said he was standing right there, and she said, I didn't see nobody, but something hit that door. Dad said, you're crazy as hell. Come on, I'll show you. There ain't nobody in there. Mom goes, I didn't see nobody either. I just heard somebody hit the door. Because my daddy's like, you crazy as shit. So we go in, and Dad said, well, I got to get back to the field here before long, so I'm just going to throw me together a ham sandwich, and I'll just eat that. So he's making him a ham sandwich, and he goes, somebody hit the door. And I said, yeah, my friend was trying to prove to her that he was there. Dad goes, who the hell is this friend of yours? I said, it's an old man, big, tall, white-headed guy. He goes, well, from now on, you ignore him. I don't know who he is, and obviously your mom don't. And he asked my uncle, have you ever seen him? My uncle's like, I ain't seen shit. You don't have no imaginary friend. I said, he ain't imaginary. He hit the door. He also let me go down in the basement with him. That was a mistake. I should have kept my mouth shut. I got an ass chewing for that too. So my dad got done eating and drinking his glass of tea. He got up. He goes, "Now I'm telling you, no imaginary friends. You got to grow up out of this. People think you're crazy." So he gave me a hug and tap on the shoulder, and he said, "Now you be good. I'll come back and whop you." "Okay." He said, "Now while I'm back in the field, you're the man of the house, so I'm going to do my duty." Him and Uncle leaves, and I sit there at the kitchen table playing with my cars and trucks while Mom cleans up the dishes. She gets done, she puts the potatoes in a bowl of water, sticks them in the refrigerator. Sure, she'll cut them up later. She go in there and turn TV on. She gonna watch The Price is Right. So we're sitting there watching The Price is Right. My eyes start getting a little heavy, so I curl up my mom to think I'm gonna go to catch a cat nap. So I'm laying there and she's rocking me. And they're watching that Price is Right. Next thing you know, I'm out like a light. I'm sleeping real good. And all of a sudden, it felt like I was being jostled around. I got startled. I woke up and looked around. My mom had me in her arms. She was running out the front door. I didn't know what happened. So we get out there, and she got in the old car and put me in the front seat, shut the door, and locked it. I said, "What are we running for?" She goes, "Describe that friend of yours." So I tell him, I said, "He's a real tall guy, white-headed, thin, looks real old, kind of like Grandpa." She goes, "That's exactly what I seen." She goes, "Did he have a hat on?" "No. His hair all went straight back." She goes, "That's exactly what I seen. He was standing there," and she said, "I started dozing off watching The Price is Right, and I thought I seen your dad come in, and I turned and looked, and there that old man was standing there, but his eyes were funny looking. They were real milky looking." She said, "I got up, grabbed you, and run the hell out of there. I thought he's harmless. He's just a big, tall man." She goes, "Well, in any case, you don't be playing with him." So my dad comes home. And she's telling him all about it, and of course he's the same thing. "You're crazy as hell." So then it got to where every time my dad would go back in the field, if my uncle wasn't there, he was back in the field with my dad, we would just go out in the yard. She'd put a blanket down under the shade tree, and she'd sit out there with me, and I'd play out there till Dad come home. Well, Dad started getting aggravated about that. Crazy as hell, you got a house, why aren't you in the house doing work? Cleaning the house, cleaning something, doing something productive besides sitting out there on a blanket with me. After a while, he started saying something about it. I guess they had a few words. So, anyway, I'll finish the rest of this story, but I just wanted to get started with that one, and I'll finish the next one up on the video. Thank you. Stay tuned.